how to make a delicious one-steak meal? Join me when we use Breault Family Farm sirloin steak, a little bit of coleslaw, some warm tortillas, and you've got a meal made. Let's get started. Everybody, welcome to my series Farm to Fork. I'm Chef Connie Powers. Today I'm going to take you on a tour of Breault Family Farms in New Liskeard, Ontario. We're going to meet Nancy and Al Breault and go through their farm. They have cattle, pigs, chickens, and a nice little store. So the store is what greets you when you first come onto the farm. And in that farm you can buy Breault Family Farm beef, their pork, their chicken, their eggs, and she encourages local farmers to bring in their product, and she encourages that collaboration between local goods. I was talking to Nancy on the farm, and she said that they're often working and coming home and they want to eat well, so they're looking for meals that are tasty, are wholesome, and they can make them on a weeknight. We've decided today to use a Breault Family Farm steak, a nice sirloin steak, and we are going to be making a sort of play on fajitas, but we're just going to call it a wrap. And it's got sesame oil, soy sauce, it's got a nice Japanese flair to it. Let's get started. First, you're going to take about 1.5 pounds of a nice lean sirloin steak. Now, the thing with talking to Nancy about recipes is she's often looking for economical ways to serve a family, and that's the whole philosophy of this farm, is how can I feed a family with good quality beef, pork, and chicken. So this steak is a good choice because there's no waste. So what you want to do is we're going to start off cutting the steak into very thin strips. Keeping in mind we're going to be making some wraps, so we don't want to make each piece a little bit too big. So you should be able to get maybe 4 wraps out of this. All right, we're going to set that aside. We've got our cast iron pot heated. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in a little bit of sesame oil. Sesame oil is such a nice flavorful oil to use in a beef dish. So put about half. I'm going to cover it just till we get the meat seasoned. This is where you want to season your meat. Don't be afraid of some salt on it. All right, make sure that it is completely coated. And you know, I think I'm going to slice these in half. And there you go. We're going to start browning this. All right, to that I'm going to add a red pepper and a yellow pepper. Now remember, one way to not waste your pepper is don't cut the top off, then you've got that top. Cut it right down the middle, discard the seeds. I'm going to give these a rinse to make sure that all the seeds are gone. And then we're going to just cut them into thin slices. So what I had to do when I got home from my day is slice the beef and saute it with a little bit of sesame oil. So you can see the idea of a fajita here. But the seasoning we put on it is not really a fajita seasoning. Lots of nice veggies in here. My pan was nice and hot, so you can see we're getting a nice brown on this meat, a nice caramelizing. That's where your flavor is. No waste at all on this steak, and one steak can serve your whole family. Okay, here's where we're going to add in the peppers. So just toss the peppers in with the beef. We're going to let that saute a bit and let everything soften up. We're going to take a short break and we'll be right back. And we're back. I'm Chef Connie Powers. You're watching Farm to Fork on Rogers TV. Today we took a tour to Breault Family Farm where we met Nancy and Al Breault. We're cooking with a beautiful sirloin steak from the Breault Family Farm. And today we're making a wrap. And it is similar to a fajita, but we're using some Japanese flavorings with it. So right now I have got about 1.5 pounds sirloin steak sauteing with a red and a yellow pepper in the cast iron pan, and we're going to add some onions. Now normally you might think a red onion or a cooking onion, but today we're going to use green onions. Green onions are kind of pricey right now. If you would prefer to use a shallot, it'll work too. Now I love this tool. I saw this tool at Cleary Ranch and I had to have it. Watch what it does. So you just strip down your green onion and it splays it so nice. So you just do this to all of the onions. Yeah, it's going to cut up your cutting board, but you know what? Every chef knows those cuts are worth memories. When we were on the tour with Nancy and Al, they told us about a devastating loss they had, and they looked outside their window one morning and the barn was on fire. And they had to make a decision. Do they cut their losses and go? And this has to be one of those things that, when a farmer has a devastating loss, they have to make a life decision. And like the hard workers they are, they decided to stick with it, and they continued on and they rebuilt. And the rebuild came back with a beautiful barn. It came back with a store that serves that community. All right, so we have got a beautiful pile here of shredded green onions. I'm going to just chop those up a bit so they will work down and fit into our wraps, and we're going to add that to our pan. So you see how beautiful that look is? It's not just about flavor, but it really gives a nice shredded look to that, and that's where the flavor is too. Let's let that cook a bit. I'm going to half cover it, and we're going to let that saute. And now we're going to make a sauce that we're going to put on, a coating that's going to make this really sweet and really flavorful. We're going to start off with shredding some ginger root. Now, when a recipe calls for a couple teaspoons of ginger root, it's very hard to do that. What I do is I freeze the ginger root. I've just taken this out of the freezer, and then when you shred that, you'll see that you get a much better consistency. All right, so I have There, I have a couple teaspoons, and then I pop that back into the freezer. It doesn't go bad, it doesn't get spoiled, and it's good for every time when I want it. So we're going to make a sauce right now that's going to take a couple teaspoons of fresh shredded ginger. It's going to take 1 teaspoon of sesame oil. It's going to take 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 2 teaspoons of cornstarch, and 1 minced garlic. All right, we're going to whisk that up. So this dish is simple. I got a steak and some vegetables sauteing, and I made a very quick pantry-ready sauce. On the way home from that day, you can pick up some fresh pitas, and you've got supper made. Okay, we're going to add this to our vegetables and meat. Nice browning. You can see the browning on the peppers, on the beef. The smell of those green onions is delicious in here. That smells good. And we're going to now whisk it one last time and add it to the meat and the peppers. Not a lot of sauce, just enough to give it a nice glossy coating. We're going to toss that up, turn down our heat. Look how nice and glossy that's becoming. That is going to really present well in a pita. We're going to add some things to it. We are going to come back from the tour and we're going to plate this. We're going to assemble this. Right now, let's go see Nancy and Al on the farm. Welcome to our series Farm to Fork. Today we're in Temiskaming Shores in New Liskeard, and we're on Sail Barn Road at a farm called Breault Stock Farm. We're going to meet Farmer Al and Nancy. Let's go see what they have for us. We're on the Breault family farm with Farmer Al and Nancy Fry. They are co-owners and co-operators of this farm. And we were just hearing a story as we walked up the long pathway about where Al grew up. So could you tell us about that?
I grew up just a quarter of a mile down the road there. Actually, we rent my old homestead for pasture and stuff like that. But about 45 years ago, I used to work on this farm, not knowing that I'd be owning it today.
As a teenager then you were here. Yeah. And now some of your cattle are on that farm?
Yes. Half our herd are in that farm, and yeah, I worked here just out of grade school, really.
So is this a multi-generational farm, or is?
No, this was no, it wasn't.
You purchased this from the farmer you worked for.
That's right.
Very good. And then, how did you get involved in this farm?
Well, I grew up in Southern Ontario.
Oh.
Yes, on a beef / pork farm, and what brought me to New Liskeard was inexpensive farmland. Mm-hmm. But I was married to somebody else at the time, and we moved up here from the Niagara region in 2002. And then after we split up, he moved back south. I stayed.
And what do you
call this guy?
This guy. So what do you call south? What city was that?
Originally I come from the St. Jacobs, Elmira area.
Okay, great.
My background is Mennonite. And then after I got married, I moved to the Niagara region, like the Vineland area.
Okay.
Camden area. And then we moved up here to buy inexpensive farmland.
And you did that. So
yeah.
Let's go see what's in the barns.
Yeah, sounds good. I'd let you know we have 2 doors, and the reason for the second door on the inside is because Tessa, our dog, loves to steal eggs.
And eats them?
And eats them.
Look at this.
So, yeah.
Come on out, ladies.
Here they are.
Hey, well, that's a really good little...
And they love the meat birds' food over their own.
So are you all livestock, or do you have cash crop as well?
No cash crop.
Good. Does not used to another male presence in the space.
I should get them out of there.
We started with just 5 boxes, and then we
Doubled them.
Yeah.
So how many eggs do you get in a day?
Well, right now it's a new batch of hens, so
Okay.
we're getting like 35, 36 out of 50 birds, and so that should go up.
And so do you take the eggs to the Riverside Farmers Market, or are they all sold in your store?
They're mostly sold through our store. Usually Fridays when the store is open, our regular customers clean us out of eggs. It's hard to keep up.
I get it. I understand. This is called dust bathing. What are they doing?
Basically, it's something that a chicken loves to do is
Bring dirt or
Yeah.
powder underneath there.
I can see she's bringing that up into her feathers.
Into her feathers, and it's a way for them to control types of parasites like mites. We woke up, a neighbor pulled in the driveway at 5 o'clock in the morning and laid on her horn, and that woke us up because our windows are at the front. And literally the barn was fully engulfed. She yelled, "Your barn is on fire!"
What?
And we looked out the window on the other side, and
Do you know how
it was fully
It was
engulfed.
Hydro.
And
Yeah.
it was a windy rainstorm.
Yeah.
And this old wood would just be
Yeah.
like gasoline.
So within hours, it was completely gutted.
Yeah.
Just decimated. It was.
Did you lose
cattle
any
had
animals?
Had just been moved out.
Did you lose any animals?
No.
No.
She said they were moved out the week before.
Oh, they were
Week or
moved out.
2 weeks before, yeah, because it was June 14th. So usually they go out end of May, beginning of June. And the chickens, because we were doing meat birds in the barn at the time, we had started doing that a number of years ago. The meat birds hadn't arrived yet. They were coming in July.
Good. Yeah.
Oh, it was.
Devastating.
It was absolutely devastating, but we were underinsured, and in our mid-50s, I had been doing small business financing at the bank and had seen all the beef farmers' books and knew that everybody was working off farm to make it work.
There is no
Yeah.
farmer that doesn't work out. I don't know of any.
Well, certain industries.
In all the farms we do, it's very rare that we see it.
yeah.
A beef operation
Yeah.
that doesn't have
Beef
the-
up.
Dairy and chicken,
dairy.
like somebody with quota, they can make a living.
Now this particular beef farmer that is off, like works completely on his farm though. He has cash crop that he sells. So
Right.
Cash crop is a different,
Yeah.
different income altogether.
Exactly.
so I understand that, and it just seems like such a mountain to climb when you have outside work and inside work.
Yeah. But basically, when that happened, of course, he was like, we got to rebuild. And I was like, we're underinsured. We're in our mid-50s. Oh, my gosh. Like, we've got to change our business model if we're going to rebuild.
So that's what you
that
got.
led to the farm to fork.
So that's what you got from it.
Yeah, that's what we got from it. And it was the best business decision that we've made. Don't forget to raise the feeder too, hun, or take it out. It's fine, okay. So Al designed this mechanism. And the beauty of this is it raises it high enough, because the first year that we used them, we had a different mechanism, and it was too low, and then you always had to watch that you didn't roll a chicken. Mm-hmm. Right?
They could get the heck out of the way if
Yeah.
they know.
They know, but you can see some of them slipping out the back, right? When they get moved to fresh grass, and what the other beauty of that is it slows the growth, because white rock meat birds have been genetically bred to grow at such a fast rate that when they're in a traditional barn environment, they tend to develop lame legs. And heart attacks and strokes, which is why when you buy chicken in the grocery store, you're getting 3-4 pound birds tops. Because they are slaughtering them about 35 to 36 days of age.
So what are you, 3 months?
We go 11 weeks. We usually butcher at 9 and 11. So 11 weeks is 77 days. So when we started the farm to fork business in June of 2020, we started out just with ground beef and stewing beef at our local farmers market, and very quickly realized that people wanted steak. The good stuff. And at the time, we had chest freezers. In the first 6 months, we moved 8 head of beef. The next year, 2021, we moved 24 head of beef. Wow. And then last year, we moved 36 head of beef. But by the end of 2021, we realized we can't do this out of 8 chest freezers anymore. Okay, so the walk-in freezer is a dream. Wow. We're very happy to have that. We can keep all the orders organized in there and our inventory. We're managing. It is challenging. This spring, I was kind of slow for box orders. And now, like I say, I'm booking for December, and we're doing 4 to 5 animals a month right now.
So do you do turkeys as well?
On our daughter's farm.
On the daughter's farm. So
Yeah.
that would be ordered through that meat box.
The turkeys are generally are all sold out through pre-order. Yeah. And even our chicken this year, the pre-orders are up 200% from last year. So I'm going to be sold out of chicken by October. So
how long?
Three-sided building. So it's not. It's open
to the south.
It's open to the south,
Yep.
which is the best direction.
The best
for it to be
direction.
open. And then those high walls prevent the wind. And see that building there too? That's our hay storage. Prevent the wind from coming in.
And this is where the cows have their calves.
Yeah. Okay.
This area. In the month of April, May, all the calves. Well, that actually I haven't taken it down.
Yeah, they go in there.
They go in there for
To keep them away from them. The calves are generally, see that area that is a bit closed in?
Yes.
That's the nursing pen area. July long weekend, our grandson, Jessica and Will, who are his daughter and her husband and their two boys were up, and the 4-year-old says, "Papa, I'm gonna buy this farm."
Aw, see, that's all you want to
Someday.
hear.
There's a beef calendar. There's a calendar. So the G year was, I don't know, what year are we in now? L? So you back it up. So you can very quickly know how old the
How
cow
old that is.
We also keep back some of our, so let's say G18, we like the way that calf looked this fall. We would keep it and add it to our cow herd for next year.
To breed next year.
To breed. And the ones that are colored like butterscotch go on the other pasture with a Charolais bull.
These are beautiful. And we're back. What a great tour. I hope you enjoyed that. So our beef and green onions and peppers are all nice and cooked. We put a nice sauce on top of that. You can find the recipe at the end of this episode. And now we're going to assemble. You could choose a tortilla. You could choose a pita. It depends on what your family likes. I find that the tortillas are a little bit more pliable and they're kid-friendly, so I'm gonna go with this. So all you have to do is take a warmed tortilla and add in a couple pieces of pepper and maybe one piece of steak, depending on who is it for. I'm gonna put 2 pieces of beef in this one because it's small pieces. And then we're going to add some nice cold vegetables to it that give you some crunch and give you some seasoning. So we're going to add in a little bit of coleslaw. Again, this is a weeknight meal. You come home, you cook the beef with the vegetables, you can have a coleslaw ready-made. I'm going to put in a little bit of very finely diced cucumbers. I find it gives it a nice, fresh, crisp taste, and a little bit of cilantro. You don't even have to add any mayo or any sauce of any sort because it's in the coleslaw. And we're going to wrap that up. And there you have it. You have yourself a beef tortilla. We're going to add it in here, and we'll make another one. Now, after I returned from the farm at Breault Family Farm, I spoke to a few local farmers about what I had seen. Nancy reached out to those farmers, and before you knew it, there was a community getting a little bit smaller. Okay, let's make our last one. We're going to look from above, and you can see that I'm just placing a few pieces of meat, a couple peppers, and I want to get some of those green onions in there. They're nice caramelized, they look delicious. And then we're going to add in some of the cucumbers that are chopped up very, very fine. Some of the coleslaw. and some cilantro. And you can see that this is tailored. You can make this any way the person who is eating it likes it. Another way you can serve this is just put the whole pan in the middle of the table with some warm tortillas, and everybody makes their own. I hope you enjoyed our tour to New Liskeard today. I want to thank Nancy and Al for taking us on that tour. We've become friends over the time, and it's really been enjoyable to see her communicate with our local farmers. Thanks for joining us today. Make this meal this weekend, this week. It's delicious. Your family will like it. Until next time, keep cooking.